Well, good morning.
Hi guys, what's up? It's Scandal and Lies again.
It is. I'm Scandal. I'm Lies. Oh my god, I'm not Scandal. That's Scandal. I'm having an existential crisis.
But who are you?
Okay, so my name is.
Who are you?
So my name is Lies.
And I'm Scandal.
And today we're not actually going to play this game. Okay, we are. We're going to play this game, but we're doing it
We're
as
using it as
a
a set piece.
backdrop. A set piece to. Ooh, I didn't even know, but I'm going to play the free ones. Anyway, a set piece to talking about a movie. We just watched The Nutcracker. I want to say Clara.
I really did just about do it, actually. The Nutcracker and
Clara and the Four Realms.
Realms.
We watched The Nutcracker and the Four Realms. And the frustrating thing about The Nutcracker and the Four Realms is that it's really about Clara. That's really all it's about. And the interesting or frustrating thing about Clara is that she's not very interesting at all, I suppose. And I get that you're supposed to have an experience with this movie wherein you kind of connect to Clara's story. It's a reimagining of the Nutcracker experience, that kind of thing. And so they're going, it's the Nutcracker and the Four Realms, it'll be amazing and stuff like that.
It'll be fabulous. And
But I took my friend to go see this movie.
this is very loud.
Yeah, we're going to turn this down just a little bit. Look at the pretty bird. I'm
Oh boy, you
about
freed the bird. The free bird.
Freed bird.
Free the bird.
Anyway, so we had,
Topics.
both of us, a lot of opinions on this movie.
Yes.
Like, so many opinions on this movie. But I would like to let Scandal get started with things that they didn't like. Or themes.
We're just going to basically, though, talk about the movie. So basically, we're also going to warn you, this is going to be spoiler
For
out the ass.
everything.
Because we don't
To
care.
spoil everything.
Because that's what's going to happen.
So we're going to talk about the entire movie.
Alright, and so...
Go ahead.
I don't even know where to start.
Okay, let's start with our
the very
main
beginning.
character. Is it? Yes. All right. So, start with our main character, Clara, who
Right.
really seems very self-possessed.
So how old do you think she was?
So, I tend to think she's probably about 13. Like, that's maybe the thing.
Okay, honestly, for me, age-wise, I was going, you almost seem like you're 14. That will work, though.
Okay. So I'm only guessing 13 because she seemed petulant and immature. But she
Right,
looks
but the
like
thing
14,
is every single
15.
one of those children in this movie, everyone needs to know, was written poorly. Children in movies are written poorly. They are
So her youngest brother
horrifically
is written the worst.
Her youngest brother is practically a 3-year-old. We were talking about it, going, developmentally, he is practically a 3-year-old.
He's really written like a 3-year-old. Like, he's charmed by everything.
Yep.
And it's really unfortunate in the way that it is.
Yep.
Of just going, they treat him like he's... So it's basically, the world building is my most frustrating thing in this one, essentially, where I get super irritated with the fact that there's nothing going on that makes sense, because as soon as they establish a rule, they break it. So they show her up in the attic at the very beginning. That's the one. It's Orde?
O-R-D-E.
Yep. O-R-D-E. Anyway, so they establish that she's an inventor, right? And that she's clever by starting out with a huge, fancy Rube Goldberg machine that actually
she just
doesn't...
magically sets up.
That also, you don't see her set it up or anything, but it also doesn't make any sense, which is frustrating, because it has things in it that don't functionally work, and they just made up for the sake of...
Yeah, they were like, no, this is... Okay, so the bellows is actually specifically what we're talking about. So part of this Rube Goldberg machine is literally where there is a bellows that goes off. But people don't realize that bellows are actually super tough, and you have to force them open and closed.
So you'd have to have a really broken, weird bellows to have this work. Anyway.
And so it's a thing, I know it's super picky, but the thing is everything about this movie was obnoxious, and I kept expecting more out of it, because I'm going, you're trying to set this up.
You're trying to set up that she's clever, and she's thoughtful, and she is an inventor.
And I actually, though, unfortunately, I leaned over to Liz at that point in the movie, and I went, oh my god, she's gotten the Bella treatment. She's gotten the Belle treatment from the live-action version of Beauty and the Beast, which I also did not like, and was deeply frustrated by, and found to be inane and stupid, and really, honestly, it didn't solve any of the problems at all, and anyway...
You just have the more clever version. Let's make her a more complex person. It's fine. We're gonna do it.
Yep.
Anyway, so this experience very much of going, all right, we've set her up to be this, clever thing, what have you, to be an inventor, to be creative. And then it's like, her invention doesn't work on its own merit. She's also catching a mouse, which is irritating on itself because
and also the
mouse...
CG in this entire. Oh my god, the opening CG!
Sorry.
Holy shit!
That's
okay,
a good one to start with.
Everything. No, I'm not kidding, guys. It really is just like deeply aggravating for the level of there's this thing, then there's this thing, and oh my god, there was that thing. So at the very beginning of the movie, they open up on this terrible fucking CG version of London, and it looks
very CG.
awful. And the whole movie actually has some rip roaring, hysterically bad CG the whole time. And you go, that was a CG horse, that is an entire CG person. I thought there was a mouse in the middle of it. I thought it was a moving piece of wood. It freaked me out for 5 seconds because I went, oh my god, that's a moving piece of wood. What's going on? Suddenly this movie got, again, more intense of going, now the trees are alive. Right. So it's the section, if anybody's actually watched it, where they're in amusement land, the fourth realm that has lost its name.
No, we don't say amusement land.
Well, you know, I'm going
to call... We don't say the land of amusements anymore.
Amusementos.
It's not what we call it anymore.
And it was super freaking just like disturbing. And in the sense of basically it was just bad. It looked woody and blocky and a lot of the CG looked really crappy. The costumes were interesting, except for that final weird fiber optics, you know, we probably did this on a 3D printer thing that was really frustrating. Actually,
we're gonna build the key. That's what this is.
Oh boy.
Anyway, that's fine. So keep going.
And there were so many things in here. We were actually talking a lot about it, of going, you know, I wonder, like, what this movie would have actually been like if it wasn't this incompetent.
Yeah,
and this ridiculous and all over the place. Because again, so the biggest thing I have to say is, so Keira Knightley as the Sugar Plum Fairy. So people who don't know Keira Knightley, she was in Pirates of the Caribbean. She was in a remake of Robin Hood. She was in she's been in several different things, but mostly what I know her from, because I don't really follow people, but I have seen her and knew enough of her or about her or whatever. It was a thing, right? She's been a thing.
She did a distinctive character interpretation piece here, more than what she usually does.
Right, which was actually very interesting, and I was applauding her for that. It was very good, but I also kept going, holy shit, this is a huge-ass lesbian love story about a doll that fell in love with its creator, and the creator never came back. At least the doll thought. Except for, as we pointed out, as they go through and they talk about in the movie itself, she does go back.
So there's a lot of things where it feels like they're breaking their own canon, as I've mentioned, where they'll set basically a rule for the reality, and then they won't do anything with it, if you will, or then it won't be consistent in the next piece.
Right.
So one of the biggest spoilers that I'm going to cover in this movie is this experience that you're fighting the bad guy, who is the Sugar Plum Fairy.
Yep.
And in fighting that bad guy, you defeat her, and all of the soldiers that she's created, all of the evil toys that she's created to, you know, destroy the world, what have you, they all fall apart, right? They all stop working. That's it. So basically the idea of the story is that you have Clara's mother was able to bring toys to life in her magical realm. That's what she was able to do. And so she made a machine that was her greatest invention, where she could bring toys to life in her own private magical realm, which is where the Nutcracker is. And there's one of the toys that feels super abandoned and really unhappy, right? And so what she does...
And this is the Sugar Plum Fairy, one of the 4 leaders of the 4 realms that's mentioned in the title, right?
Right. Anyway, and so the Sugar Plum Fairy is deeply unhappy, and so she creates an army of 10 soldiers. And this army of 10 soldiers is about to destroy everything and kill everybody.
And 10 as in the metal material.
Right. Anyway, about to destroy everything and mess everything up for everyone, right?
Yep.
And then they defeat her by turning her back into a toy, because that's what everybody was. They were all toys.
They were all toys initially.
And then...
But they couldn't even keep consistent with that.
No.
She discovered our land. Okay, so people need to understand what discovery means. Discovery means to uncover something that's already existed.
So they go back and forth between the behavior that she discovered the land and that she created
made
the land. Because she's like, the toy literally says she's discovered our land, but then they also literally straight out say and then she created everyone.
And they show the machine that she used to bring these toys to life that looks a lot like, honestly, like the Hubble telescope to me. Which I thought was kind of interesting. But not, I mean, like, basically a large-scale telescope. But anyways.
Or any laser gun ever, really.
Right, yeah, I know.
At any rate.
Sigh.
It's alright.
Anyhow, and so they couldn't stick to their own goddamn canon, and it was irritating and frustrating. And again, the whole introduction of the Nutcracker was the weirdest thing I think I'd ever seen. A Nutcracker. Where did you... Also, by the way, it never had been established at all that anybody there was a toy. Why the hell would she refer to it, this particular person who seems frozen? I'm not going to freak out. I'm going to go, corpse. I'm going to touch the corpse. I'm going to go, ooh, Nutcracker. And there was no horse behind her at that point, remember? And then he goes, jingle, and then you're like, oh my god, there's a horse there. Yeah. There were so many things that were supposed to be there and weren't there literally until they're like, oh yeah, this thing exists. It felt stupid.
It did. So anyway, more breaking of their own canon. Basically, you've got the Sugar Plum Fairy who creates an army of 10 soldiers. Then the 10 soldiers are going to destroy everyone and everything because they only obey her because she created them. Except for, she says they'll only obey me because I create them, but then she puts them on autopilot and has them create each other, but they still obey her, even though they're creating each other. And then, when they kill her or unmake her and turn her back into a doll, all of the soldiers fall down inert
and they stop
operating.
They don't return to being a toy, however. They remain in their large, huge, blown-up state. They just stop being animated, which is weird as hell.
Which is super weird because they don't turn into toys. But anyway, so the case is if her mom made everything there, and with that same piece of equipment, right? And that equipment basically makes it so you stop operating when your creator isn't around anymore.
Right.
Then you have a real problem because their creator's dead. Yeah. And none of them have stopped operating.
No, and they've kept going, actually. The thing also, again, speaking of her being dead, the Sugar Plum Fairy, really, I'm not kidding, threw a fit about the fact of, she's never coming back. She was there, she hasn't come back, she abandoned all of us. She wouldn't know that. Uh-huh. She had no freaking clue that Queen Marie was never coming back or that she was dead. Unless she's just lying. But the way she ends up at the end going, that way no one will ever abandon me and ever hurt me again. I have an army that she gets weirdly, intensely sexual about.
She really does. She suddenly gets weirdly sexual about the 10-soldier army. She's like, men in uniform with weapons. But she has real, actual soldiers that are men in uniform with weapons.
That are not the 10s. I don't know either. It was very bizarre.
Anyway.
And, yeah, I just...
So, anyway, other than that, it was frustrating because you can't tell specifically the Nutcracker, which she identifies as a Nutcracker instantaneously, as being a Nutcracker, except that he has a slightly different uniform than all the other soldiers who look really similar to him, but a lot of the soldiers have different uniforms anyway, so, you know, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I'm like, you're a Nutcracker. Again, I'm like, that is the weirdest fucking response you would ever have to a frozen body.
Yeah, he looks like a frozen man, frozen stiff, standing where he, frozen where he stands, right? Dead frozen where he stood on his guard post.
Oh, God.
And she just goes, a Nutcracker, and she touches him. And her character is so bland after a fashion.
Bitchy! She's an irritating, self-centered, stupid little fucking...
And she gets super irritating, like, really fast, because she's so entitled. And I think really what they want is us to be connected to the fact that she's really self-absorbed into her mother's grief, right? That she's really absorbed in her mother's grief. And that's what they want you to think. And going, okay, but we don't know this character, so we don't know who she is without being connected to her mother's grief. At all.
Right.
And so what she comes off as is somebody who's insensitive and self-absorbed and self-obsessed.
And also the fact that, like, her dad the entire time looks like he's going to perpetually be sobbing his butt
He does. The actor does a great job of looking completely devastated every moment the entire time he's in the movie.
Now, there's some... Okay, so I don't know what this trend is in regards to Disney films or films in general with adults trying to interact with children. And maybe it's just my socialization, but it genuinely is starting to bother me and give off weird, creepy... parents sort of creeping on their children or their children creeping on the adults, which I'm not saying doesn't happen, and that kids for a while don't go, hey, this thing, which is going to be super controversial, I'm sure, and someone's going to get mad, and that sometimes adults go, hey, this child, and you go, hang on, stop. But that's literally a thought in your head, and you don't have to act on it, and it happens because that crap happens. But what the hell? There is actually a genuine, it feels like a trend of adults, and especially parents, almost acting like slight predators towards their children. You remind me of my wife.
You're so
beautiful.
Like
and he reacts to both of his daughters. And by the way, I loved this from Lies. Is Lies going, I didn't even realize initially when I first saw the movie, because I actually have seen it now twice and I've only seen it once, that Fritz was actually his son. She thought he was just a cousin. That's how badly done he was. So the thing is you start out with Fritz in the attic being amazed by his sister explaining the laws of, Newton's laws and things like that. Yep.
and going,
And
all
gravity.
right, so these are the ones that can't move. Anyway, so explaining these laws and him like sounding super fascinated. So he looks like somebody who's visiting, somebody who hasn't been there and isn't used to this. And then you find out this is who she is all the time, 100% of the time. This is who Clara is
as a person,
and this is her brother that's been with her her whole life. And so it's like, why is any of this surprising to him? And
that's
so
like going into Drosselmeyer's thing. So we actually had a discussion about how it would be really nice to have actually had a line where they're going to go, we're going to go to a Godfather Drosselmeyer's party, right? Who's supposed to be the belle of the ball, and he throws great, amazing parties. But nobody has a line specifically about how, because the thing is when they all go there, they're like, yeah, we know exactly where we're going, what we're doing, and the little boy seems like a freaking idiot.
It's a family tradition, and the thing is part of the dad's grief, and this is all over the place. I apologize. But it's
so
everywhere because there's a lot of issues. Anyway, so the thing is the dad's grief is such that he's a mess, and that Clara's really being a bitch about it.
Yep.
And the fact is, like, they're trying to make her insensitive to someone who's obviously devastated.
He really is, and
like,
she's all shocked at the end,
and
like,
she's going,
my dad is devastated. The Sugar Plum Fairy points it out to her, and she goes, oh my god, he
looks devastated. But the thing is before that, she's like, he's such an insensitive bastard. He wants everything to be exactly the same.
He's hiding in this thing, blah, 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 whatever. And you're like, really?
Anyway, so you can see it as the audience that he's, incredibly sad, but she can't see it at all. And it's supposed to be some sort of character arc for her to realize and connect to her dad's grief. Fine, what have you.
It's fine, but it felt really insincere.
It really did. It was really unfortunate.
Like,
anyway, so
sorry,
her brother
I'm going everywhere.
Doesn't seem like her brother because he seems so charmed by who she is. This is immediately after established to be normally all the time.
Yeah,
this is who she always is all the time.
What she always does.
And yet he's completely thrilled and fascinated by her. And it's like, what?
Are you kidding?
Are you kidding? This is your actual brother. The reason this would be interesting at all would be because I should have taken that gear off. Yeah, that's what I thought. Is because he's new to this, except he's not new to it. He should be exposed to it his whole life if this is what she's doing.
This is like the same thing with Drosselmeyer too. But the thing, I went, okay, so it would make sense.
She also knows her Uncle Drosselmeyer her whole life. And
Godfather in this case.
Sorry, Godfather, not Uncle. Because her Godfather Drosselmeyer her entire life. And yet, at the same time, she seems completely... I didn't. Completely, like, lost and sort of, basically charmed and stunned by his entire environment. Going I'm going to have the giant doe eyes of going, what's going on? This looks so fascinating. Everything looks so beautiful when she's in his workshop, which of course is ridiculous. Which is
where I was
if she's been there
she's
all
like,
the
I
time.
don't know where's Godfather?
She also knew it. She's like, Godfather's I was in Godfather's workshop, so I'm in Godfather's workshop,
Right? Well, and I'm like, and then the rest of the house, it's like, sure, why not, again, having a throwaway line about her and her family going, God, we can't wait to see what, Godfather Drosselmeyer comes up with this year,
Would have been
because he
super
always
simple
has
and good.
eccentric, wild things, and that's great. I feel like they're not hooking together for some...
They're not. There's something missing. Oh, this strap is missing. Sorry.
Uh-huh.
The gear is missing. I knew I needed it, and then it was missing. Anyway, so the movie was incredibly frustrating. And it was incredibly frustrating for more reasons than can easily be explained here. But again, breaking, like, anything that seemed like canon. We've established these things will listen to me because I create them, but now they're creating themselves.
How much do you think we can remember if we started over from the very beginning?
If we started from the very beginning. Okay. So the very beginning, the first thing that irritated me completely was this experience of, and pardon the ad, I'm just going to talk through it because we're really just using this as background anyways.
We really are.
Is that she seems to be explaining to a young child who looks about 8 or 9
Honestly,
how this Rube Goldberg machine looks. He could have been as young as 7.
But really thought he was physically really somewhere to be like 11 or 12.
I was going to say, for me, he looked like he was, 8 or 9.
Early 10s.
And the thing is below 10. And she's explaining this to them like it's a magical thing.
People need to understand kids are not that stupid.
And the thing is but she's treating him like you'd explain it to maybe a 3 or 4-year-old, right?
Right.
And then, which is really irritating to me, honestly, because then he continues to act like a 3 or 4-year-old. If you've had kids or been around kids much, kids are really, really smart. They pick up things very, very quickly. Yep. Most kids in movies are written too young. Okay, so you have this where it looks like she's with a cousin or something that is that is very new to everything she's doing, right?
Right.
And that is very just sort of charmed but also thrilled by this idea of building a mouse trap like a Rube Goldberg machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they catch
a
this
Rube
mouse.
Goldberg machine that, again, it doesn't actually work because that's not how bellows works.
No. So anyway, one of the components in the Rube Goldberg machine is a bellows, which is propped up so that it falls down when something gets knocked out of it. So it gets squished. It compresses itself.
But the thing that falls on it is not nearly heavy enough, in my opinion.
Nothing falls on it. It just pulls something out of holding it open.
Oh no!
So there's a little post holding up the ends of the bellows.
Yeah, that's not how they work.
And they knock it out, and it falls together.
And it puts out so much air pressure, and I'm like, no,
that it blows a thing over.
Yeah, and you're going, yeah, no.
Anyway, so it's kind of ridiculous. But so that's the beginning of the thing, and also they're catching a mouse, and they've got the mouse in this
horrific CG mouse.
This really bad CG mouse in the whole movie. Really weird experience of going, well, we have this basket that falls on it, and the basket is really wide, right? So the mouse could hop right through the holes in it, but it doesn't, right? And so it's like, okay, so the mouse doesn't hop through the holes in it. It just sits there and kind of stares at them until Cook shows up and just throws the mouse into oblivion, and then they have to go downstairs, and she's going, whatever,
Do you have to
line.
see something on the backs of these things? Because I've started to notice now there are patterns on the back. So if you
a lot of them are on the back, honestly, but they also rotate. So for this one, I'm like, I'm not sure. This is the first one I've been stumped on because I got the key so fast, but I haven't used this at all. So I guess, you're just moving these. That's it.
Uh-huh.
Sigh. I could have done that right away. Oh well. Ta-da! Anyway, so you start with that, and it seems like a cousin. Then you find out he's her brother, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go downstairs and you find out there's 3 of them, and that
the mother has recently died.
The mother has died. We don't know exactly how recently, but
it feels recent,
somewhat recent, and she's definitely.
And it's also so. At least for me, I was going to headcanon the whole time, going, I believe this seems like basically this was one of the mother's favorite times of year. The reason why this is so painful right now, especially, is because they're going, this is Christmas without Mother, who loved the shit out of Christmas, especially because we're going to go see Godfather Drosselmeyer.
Right, which is who raised her. In this one, he raised their mother, which they don't actually say that he adopted her, because otherwise he'd be Grandfather Drosselmeyer.
Right.
And instead he's Godfather Drosselmeyer.
Right.
So there's that. But so he raised their mother, and then he became their godfather. And the thing is the only memories they show with her are at Christmas time.
Yep.
Period. So that's all you really see. And so everyone's really sad around Christmas, and then they have this awkward sort of stiffness of going, hey, there, I've done the tree, and you have
and the father, and they bring up this plot thread about basically the father going, we need to keep up appearances.
Right.
And so we had a whole thread while we were driving around going, hey, what if basically the reason why she has to have these appearances and the husband is also grasped onto this is because literally the mother is actually inappropriate as in accordance to London society women. Because she's an inventor.
Because she's an inventor.
Because the mother was one.
The weird thing is Drosselmeyer's got inventions
everywhere,
theoretically all over his house, though we don't really see them all over his house.
No, which is really disappointing.
You see them in like 2 places.
Yep, they're really simplistic. Most of the stuff just looked really cool, but there wasn't much going on.
Really unfortunate. But at any rate, so her mother seemingly loves Christmas, and they're talking about the fact that you have to keep up appearances, and Clara's really disgusted with her dad, going, but I don't want to keep up appearances.
We can't
Mother.
Just
pretend things are good because they're not just good, Anyway, and so you get this experience of someone going, well, they could be good, we could keep working on it, and you keep going on anyways, right? It's up there. Anyway, and so she's just pissed off as hell, like, at her dad,
and
right?
And I'm like, he looks like he's going to bawl
at any moment.
The entire time. Like, I've never seen a man with such sad... Like, I thought it was a very good play.
Looked like he was going to cry the entire time.
He was a disaster.
Like, you believed he was broken to pieces.
At least
over this
I
wife.
did. I was like, God, he adored the crap out of her. But again, because of some of this, like, so for the girls, it's Christmas presents. Like, so I have presents for you. And this is, but it's not Christmas yet.
Right.
I think the older girl does. I don't know if actually Clara is the older one or the younger of the 2 girls.
I think Clara is the youngest. So you have your
your
oldest daughter, and then you have Clara, the middle child, and then you have the young boy, the
Fritz.
son.
I remember Fritz and Clara, but I don't remember the older one because she was in it actually even less in some ways.
She was.
Honestly, both the siblings were super ignored.
The other children were
very
ignored. They really were.
But there's like, so I have presents for you. Well, they're like,
but it's not Christmas. We don't open them on Christmas Eve.
That's because it's from your mother, and she asked me to give them to you on Christmas Eve.
Eve.
And there's this awkward silence,
right.
And you're like, oh dear.
Yep, pretty much. And so then they open these things, right?
Uh-huh, and they open them up, and Clara gets a small egg with a specific type of extremely difficult lock, as far as I understand
it. A pin tumbler lock.
A pin tumbler? Yes, they're very, as far as I understand, they are difficult to deal with, if you want to actually try to force them. And then you've got the little boy, he gets a packet of tin soldiers.
Right.
And he immediately, of course, starts playing with them in classic, like, again, this is where I'm going, he sounds
fashion.
like a 3-year-old.
Aggressive war
yeah, I'm
fashion.
gonna get you, I killed you, blah, and it's really disorienting. That's why I'm going, he looked like he was about 10, 11, or 12. The actor themselves might actually be older, which is probably why it kept throwing me off, but I'm like, you look too old to suddenly abruptly, like, he goes off so easily. I'm like, are you that detached? And they never even go into the other kids' grief much at all, which actually really bothered me. Only the dad and Clara are strongly affected by this. But then later, of course, the implication of the mother, which really pisses me off, and Drosselmeyer really in reinforcing it, doesn't help. But anyway, so then the other daughter, she gets the mother's favorite dress. And she eventually puts it on in this whirlwind fast scene where they're literally
fast.
Clara and her dad have this awkward conversation because she's super distressed and upset, right? Because, you know, her father, you know, there's no love.
It's
right.
It's not.
This is like, and also the gift that it gave. Why can't I open it? I need the key. Why don't I have the key? And honestly, there's a lot of dismissal.
And I'm entitled to the key.
I need it. She says that everything. I said everything I need is inside.
She's super entitled at this point.
She's such a brat. I honestly could barely empathize with her. She felt like a prop set, but a lot of them really did. You know, I was like, you are pieces on a set, and I don't care. I cared about 2 characters, and that was it.
Yeah. So anyway, on to the 2 characters.
Well, what are your 2 favorite characters? Because I know I really did honestly like the Sugar Plum Fairy.
Yeah, she was sad and devastated
But I also thought it was fascinating in regards to going, you are completely having this lesbian love experience with your mistress who no longer exists, except that it doesn't make sense as to your logic as to she's never coming back. How would you know that? Because they go from saying actually she didn't ever go back. Like there's actually a flashback that happens later on in the movie.
Slow down. If we're gonna go piece by piece.
Fine. So they're going. So we're gonna go to this party, and the father goes, "I'm going to dance with both."
What I want is I want to dance with my daughters. That's what I want to do.
That's what I'm going to do, and it's also a thing you do to be appropriate, right?
Right.
That's the proper thing to do. That's the thing you do in society.
Yep.
And so the little boy goes, and one of the funniest 2 funny lines in that damn movie, right? But I want to dance.
Well, wait, who's going to dance
with me?
Because he said, I want one dance with you and one dance with you. And the little boy goes, but who's going to dance with me?
And there's an awkward silence.
And
which I thought was really, and they just giggle. And I'm like, why didn't they be like, oh, and then you sisters, you will dance with your brother.
Right.
Why wouldn't you?
Okay, so, this is funny.
That's adorable. You're like, I'm entertained.
Anyway, and so, yeah, they have this thing where it's like, why, you know, nobody dances with the brother. But the thing is it's just, so you get to the party, and here's one of the issues.
And you come in, and it's Drosselmeyer's place, right? And it's supposed to be grand and magnificent and whatever the heck else, and going, I'm going to find, you know, Godfather Drosselmeyer. And they get in the door, you know, Clara and his little brother goes, oh my God, it's magic, because they have rotating...
They have a moving coat rack.
They have a moving coat rack, and he's going to lose his crap over a freaking moving coat rack.
And the thing is if he's been there every year, and he's seen Drosselmeyer's inventions every single year, then there should be no surprise in this way.
Pretty much.
He shouldn't be stunned by this thing. I think I've got the wrong one.
Unless do you have...
What was the diamond? Anyway, it's fine. So the thing is he acts like a very small child in this way.
He really seems too immature. He's ridiculously immature.
Where's my items?
Oh, you're clicking in time with the... Yeah, when they come together.
Oh, got it.
Nope.
Yeah, you have to grab it.
Nope.
That's funny. Alright, there we go. Anyway, so you get this experience where acts like he's super, super young. And it frustrates me because I don't like kids played poorly, if you will. Right?
Did you have that one?
Anyway, so, you get him really, like, enthused by this coat rack, and then you get Clara disappearing off to know exactly where she's going and exactly what she's doing, but she also acts completely mystified.
The
like
whole time.
utterly like, oh, I'm charmed. She has this thing where she holds her hands up while she's walking.
Oh my god.
This
Okay,
sort
it's
of
the
like,
affected, I'm holding a ball gown sort of thing. So I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about. So particularly in like Edwardian or
you have your
a lot
wrists
of,
cocked out and your fingers sort of splayed gently.
and you're holding onto your dress. Except in this case, there's
She's
no
not
dress you're
holding
raising
onto her
up.
dress.
It's literally just the hands raised and the elbows bent and little hands pulled up and the wrists bent, and you have your little fingers put together sometimes, and sometimes you don't. And it looks freaking ridiculous because you cannot help. I'm like, you're doing an anime run.
And she's
more than
really,
once, she's
really
doing
bad at
a
running.
damn anime run.
She's got her arms flailing out
to the side. I'm running. No, oh, it's like this. It's so irritating.
It's really irritating.
I'm like, this is the most ridiculous, unrealistic thing I think I've ever seen. It might be realistic,
so
but
she
it's
has this
pissing me
really
off.
dramatic way of acting all of her movement. Like she's very performing for someone to watch, not like she's just moving. So child acting can be very hit or miss because, they're directed by someone and they're interpreting things. Right? And so there's this experience of her going like super overacting, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Is this one supposed to
be
an
H? Yes.
Yeah. All right, there it is. Anyway, of her super overacting this stuff physically, where when she's supposed to look charmed, her eyes are huge and her mouth is open and her arms are up and out like this poised kind of movement of I'm about to jump, I'm perched, I'm about to, fling myself into the air.
Except that it wasn't charming or interesting or anything else. It was just irritating.
It felt overacted. It really did.
Anyway, so we're going on beyond it again. Anyway, so she goes to find Godfather Drosselmeyer.
So she goes to find him and she looks completely charmed by his workshop, which she's obviously seen every single year, but maybe he hangs a different whale skeleton from the ceiling every year. Who freaking knows? That seems unlikely.
Has any idea? And the owl keeps harassing her.
The owl
in the
keeps
most
harassing.
unrealistic, unowly fashion.
There's
I've
an
ever
owl
seen.
that shows
owl was
up
super irritating.
That just acts like a person and follows her around. It seemed like the spirit of her mom or something, but it's ridiculous.
All right.
Anyway, so she goes down there and she finds Herr Drosselmeyer. Sorry, she finds her uncle. Not uncle, her godfather. Her godfather, Drosselmeyer.
We know the other versions
and he's played by Morgan Freeman, which is super cool.
What?
However, Morgan Freeman plays him like this soft, fluffy, warm,
Dumbledore.
friendly, sort of original Dumbledore. Your first 2 movies Dumbledore, right?
Yep.
And so
I can't remember his name. Richard Armitage? No, Richard something. I can't
anyway,
remember his name.
it's all right. It's not super important.
Yeah, I know.
But the thing is Lord Drosselmeyer, or Herr Drosselmeyer, has always been this mythic figure in every one of the ballets. Super mythic figure. He's imposing. He's terrifying. He's this impressive thing. And the thing is as much as Clara respected the hell out of him and was excited to see him every year
in plays where they didn't have voices, and in ballets where they never really talked,
she also was scared of him like crazy. Like, I am nervous of you as hell, but I'm also super excited to see you. And her brother, who was much younger, was not scared of him at all. All he remembered was toys, just fantastic toys everywhere.
That's why you go to Drosselmeyer. You're going to go have the best freaking time ever. Ha ha. Yeah.
Pretty much. I was gonna say it's just So do I now? I did the circuit thingy and it's stuck. All right. Anyway, so he didn't fit the character for me with what I'm used to. So there's an experience
and I didn't realize until basically we were ranting about this in the car how much I really liked
that Drosselmeyer version of Drosselmeyer
as a character because he was terrifying. He scared me as a kid whenever I would watch ballets or I would watch, basically different versions of the story or whatever. He was scary.
He was often quite frightening. There was something about Drosselmeyer that was very scary.
There was something very
imposing,
wrong.
But also something very, very real about him. So Drosselmeyer always seemed to be a very genuine character. Part of what was scary about him was that he was 100% honest, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, he would always just tell the truth. And there was no kavitz and there was no sugarcoating it. It'd be like, if you are sad, be sad, kind of thing. And he just puts it out there for you. What if it gives the key to you this way?
Nope, I think you're going to put the key in on some side. That's why you now need to flip around and see where the key actually goes. I bet you're going to do that.
I bet you. Anyway, so the movie was super annoying.
Okay, so she basically, though, spends time with her uncle, and we swear to God, he broke this thing on purpose. So he shows her this cute little carousel of swans, basically.
And they're running backwards. Oh no, they're running backwards.
With music and everything. And I'm like, you really didn't really? That's... And she's like, I think I know how to do it.
And so anyway,
for
he's
him,
like,
he has this response
can
where
you
I'm
fix
going,
this? And she's like, well, let me look at it. And so they show her changing the gear set, right? So that she can fix it, so that she can make it run forward instead of backwards, right?
right.
That's really fast. Anyway, and they use that later on in the movie, going, she has this skill of just glancing at gears and being able to reverse one tiny thing. And then once she does that, she can, change the entire direction of everything, right?
Right.
And so that's basically, they're just building that she has the skill to look at clockwork and really quickly discern how to change it. So her mother's invention that we've talked about, that's a thing later on, is can be changed how it functions by changing the direction of the clockwork.
Right.
So she has to do that to finish the whole thing. So anyway,
Right,
her father also has been off on this bent of don't disappear during this party because I want to dance with you.
Important.
You need to socialize, you need to keep up appearances, right? So she's gone for about 5-10 minutes into Drosselmeyer's workshop, and she shows back up upstairs, wandering around the guests in the party, is amongst the dancing, and then finally runs into her father, and he's going, where the heck have you been? Why weren't you up at the party where I told you to be? I wanted to dance with you. And he still looks devastated, like he's about to cry the entire time.
He really
like
does.
Eyes wet and red rimmed.
Wanted to give that guy so many credits.
He was
so
cry.
destroyed.
He looked completely destroyed the entire time. Like, he's really got glossy eyes brimming to the edges with tears.
Honestly, it's not just that he's got red rims. I swear.
He does everything.
I'm like,
the
you
entire
poor
time.
man. You're so broken.
You're so broken.
We must keep up appearances, except Dad, you're crying
except
the whole
you're
time.
actually crying. Well, no, I'm not, because the tears aren't coming out of my eyes.
No, dude, you're crying.
You're destroyed. I'm sorry.
You're losing your
shit. Yeah,
shit.
No, I can't. I'm sorry, Dad, but no. Anyway, so... Oh, you just rotate them. Never mind.
All right, I was gonna say, do we know though where's the starting places? I think
doesn't matter.
I bet you that's it. Okay.
I mean, the starting place is right here.
Yep.
So anyway, so you have this destroyed man going, "Child, you didn't do what I told you to do," and she was literally gone for 10 minutes in canon. Like, that's it.
Pretty much.
And
so
the whole party passes in 10 minutes, and then it gets even worse because when the whole party passes,
he goes, yes, you're gonna go find your present. Here comes my favorite part. Here.
So no, but the thing is the whole party, basically, she's missed the entire thing. She was gone for 10 minutes and didn't dance with her father, right? And so, square, circle, triangle, diamond, I don't know. I can't remember that. It's fine.
We'll
anyway, so the thing is just, she's there and he's angry that she missed the whole thing. And then there's a ballet that happens and they're all watching it. So it obviously wasn't over. And then Herr Drosselmeyer shows up again and...
their timestamps seem to be really freaking weird in this freaking game.
What do you
I
mean?
the movie. It's
the
really
movie.
awkward.
And so then the thing is then he's suddenly time for presents. So people go off to find these really...
elaborate string mazes. And suddenly, again, more stuff that just shows up when they're all there, and suddenly these strings are winding everywhere through the area that they are. Like, nobody noticed these servants walking through these areas, winding out to make all people getting corroded on wires. They're running into it and knocking themselves.
They show everyone at this party all over the main part of the house, and then you get this experience of that they just...
I think you tap
I don't know.
on them.
I'm like, okay, square, hang on, back. I'm just going to have to do this one real quick. So it's square, circle, triangle, diamond. I can't remember this one. I tried. Square, circle, triangle, diamond. It's fine. Anyway, so you get the thing is you see them all over the house and all over this party. And then when he announces the presents, you walk out and you find that everyone's present is attached to their name is attached to a string and they follow the string, right? And the strings go all over the freaking house where we just were a second ago where there were no strings.
Where you're going, how the hell did they just set this up in 2 seconds?
Right? How did they do that? So anyway, it's really ridiculous.
That's it.
No, there's a gem that I missed.
Oh no.
Anyway, so you get this sort of breaking of their own canon over and over again, going, well, the strings are here, well, the strings are not here, well, you've missed most of the whole party, well, you didn't miss any of the party, that kind of thing. And going, I don't know what you're on about or what you're after, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's really frustrating of going, all right, so everybody, goes and gets their presents, but she follows hers, runs into her brother, and her brother's like, I've got a nutcracker, and it's a very normal-looking nutcracker,
and the first other fucking thing he says is,
he's your boyfriend now. Like, and that's what he just says,
And I'm like, you are the weirdest fucking handsome little boy I've ever seen.
He's your boyfriend now.
I'm like, so is your little brother gay?
I don't know.
Like, why is it the first thing that slaps out of your mouth about your sister, where I'm sure, I admire you and whatever else, else except I'm annoying and that. I'm like, your character's really friggin' inconsistent. It's very annoying.
Anyway, so then she follows her string.
Her golden string.
And her string takes her all the way out of the house and into Narnia. Into a snowy world through a tree trunk. Which looks like a hallway.
Not a tree trunk, actually. It's literally through, like, the root system. Like, you go through the tree, but you come out...
tree log, if you will, that's hollow, and that's what she walks out of, right? Yep. And the thing is so she walks out of this into the snowy world. It looks very like the first scene of Narnia. And she's got this very affected walk with this very light, I'm extremely shocked and surprised.
I'm magical the entire time because of the way I'm walking. And I'm like, stop it.
And it's just super weird. Anyway, so, you get her doing this.
Oh, they're gonna do... So the thing is you have to play...
So remove ads is going to be buying the game. Okay, so it's only $150. Oh,
is it buying the game?
That's just removing ads. I don't know.
That's just removing ads.
We can look through all of the notes, but we can't get all of them.
Nope.
Anyway, so this is all the game we could play. So we need to wrap up our freaking, whiny story. But basically, there's a bit more to it, and it just was super irritating with this experience.
Inconsistency, and there's this thing, and it's just barely off the screen, and oh look, now it exists, and now we're gonna say this is the canon, but
you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stitch another visual thing onto this. I'm gonna pause this, we're gonna load up another game with a light Christmas theme that's very simple, and finish bitching about this movie.
I'm also like, the epilogue level, they're going...
Alright, so we're not gonna read this, and we're not gonna interact with this. We're just gonna use this again as a set piece. This is a very simple game.
This is a pet game.
This is a pet game, so it's not really you do anything, it's just a pet game. We're going to have to love our pet at some point. It's very simple, though. Anyway.
No. And it's cute.
So I'm going to complain more about this movie. So you get Clara following the string, and then she goes, follows the string all the way out to this tree, right? And this tree has a key in it for... God, did we cover the Christmas present from her mom? We didn't.
Oh, I told her she got an egg.
So she got an egg, right, with the pin tumbler lock. Okay, so we covered the egg.
Because I couldn't talk about the rest of it, until we got to the end.
Anyway, so she was super bitchy if I don't have the key and I can't interact with the key, open this thing because pin tumbler locks can't be picked. I've tried, right? I can't pick the lock.
And
she talks to Drosselmeyer about the key too, and he's like, well, it's going to, your mother wanted you to have this, so, it's a thing. Anyway, so he sends her on the quest for the key, right? And by doing that, so she follows the string and she finds the key. And she's like, hey, there it is. That's great. Wonderful. I'm so excited. Except for then, as she's about to grab it, a mouse freaking grabs it, right?
Right.
And runs off with it, and she gets bitchy as hell. She turns 9,000, and bitch over 9,000.
Right.
Like, that's mine. Like, not even just petulant, like, really aggressively.
And nasty,
that's
yelling
my
at
key.
The thing, yeah.
Like,
Give it back to me!
Give it back to me. That's mine. And the mouse is clearly a person. Like, it's
right.
not an animal. It's clearly a person with the way it's interacting with things, right? And so, you get another experience. You get this thing of going, all right, so I will interact. She's chasing a person that looks like a mouse, which is when she finds the Nutcracker. And then the Nutcracker's going, you can't cross the bridge to get to the mouse on the other side because, it's dangerous over there because the 3 other kingdoms are at war with the 4th kingdom, which has no name now.
Right.
And she's going, but I need to go to the 4th realm.
And you forgot to talk about the introduction, though, in the Nutcracker. Well, we have talked about it. Where
We did, because
really
he looks like a frozen person, and she goes, oh, a Nutcracker. But he just looks like a person.
Right.
That's
it. Terrible.
He just looks like a person. And then anyways, so she's like, I have to get there. And he's like, well, nobody can go there. And she's like, this is terrible. And then she's like, what's your name? What's your name?
But I need this thing. I'm going to order you to follow me. I need this thing. Also, by the way, there's this stupid bullshit where she explains who she is. Her name is fucking Clara Starbomb.
Yes.
I'm so mad about this. I don't think anybody realizes how You called her Clara Starbomb?
So tell us about what's wrong with the name Starbomb.
Because number one, I have a huge association with Starbomb actually being Danny Saxbag and Egoraptor and Ninja Brian. It's a sex comedy-centric singing group. I mean, they don't always sing about sex, but there's a lot of their topics that deal basically with sex, sexuality, and jokes in regards to, and video games.
But it's a comedy group.
It's a comedy group that
does music.
It's ridiculous.
Anyway, so they named her Starbomb, And it was irritating to my
And I
friends.
could not
But
have
anyways,
her name is
as soon as
Starbomb?
the Nutcracker understood who she was, they're like, wait, daughter of Maria Starbomb? And she's like, yeah, then you're the princess, because that's our queen, right?
And then also, the thing that made me laugh about that is going, oh yes, and you're assuming. Well, I could just say I'm this person. Why would you lie? You don't know what this child's doing here. The child could say anything.
Anyway, so he takes her across the bridge because she orders him to, because he's willing to do whatever.
But I was going to do it anyway. There's so much of that with this Nutcracker character. Honestly, I'm like, you're such a pushover.
We cannot do this, but we're going to do this. We cannot do this.
And I am super powerful and capable, but actually I'm a huge freaking coward in my horse Jingle that magically reappears behind me when I need them. And it was a horrible CG horse!
It was a pretty bad
CG
horse.
I was so frustrated going, oh my god, that horse is fake, that horse is fake, that horse is fake. It
really
looked
fake
terrible.
Horse. Yep, really fake horse. Anyway, so she then, without knowing this person at all,
and they were in the Christmas tree forest.
Gets up
I mildly found to be obnoxious, and I really just want to be like, just call it Narnia. It's fine.
Right.
Just call it Narnia.
Gets up onto the horse with him and goes riding. So she just trusts this guy instantly and completely. No big deal. It's fine, right? This is our display room. That is not here. Cool. And rides off into the forest, and he's like, it's really dangerous. I'm scared. And she's like, well, it's fine. But the thing is like, she is really, like, she's not worried at all. She's just angry about her damn key, right?
Well, that's
going,
as far as you
I need my key. And he's like, this key must be really, really important, right? And so she's like, well, it is, because it's mine and I need it. And then so she sees the mouse, and he knows exactly who the mouse is. He's like, mouse rinks, right?
Right.
And she jumps off the horse and runs after the mouse after he's like, we need to be careful, right?
Right.
And so, which of course she's not. And then the mouse rinks, which is his name, goes and collects a bunch of other mice like, holy cow.
Well, that's the buy thing.
And,
so we have another egg that we could do.
And they all turn into this sort of golem, if you will, this giant mouse golem. And, they call it, and the Nutcracker calls it the Mouse King. You know, the Mouse King. Did he call it the Mouse King?
Yeah, he called it the Mouse King. Actually, they really did, and it's actually basically a giant mass of mice that sort of Voltron it up.
They
sort
do.
of
in the way that if you've ever seen or never seen a golem before, but a golem is just, it's a construct. So it's made out of hundreds of just moving mice, right? Thousands of mice that are just all
that apparently Mousekewitz also controls.
Mouse rinks.
Mouse rinks? God, I want to call him Mousekewitz because they keep going Fievel Mousekewitz.
Fievel. It's Fievel. Anyway, so Mouse rinks controls them. He's apparently the head and the brain of these things, right? And so it squeaks.
It does.
All right. Anyway, so he's and so she gets picked up by this thing and she's screaming. I love the fact that you've gone in circles
and he goes, again.
I'm trying to find something else to do.
I think you can.
And there's nothing else to do.
That's very disappointing.
That's a really short game.
Sorry guys, welcome then to Axolotl, where it is honestly going to be a
waiting
game.
There's a waiting game to wait to play. Anyway, so then this mouse has got her, and Nutcracker, runs after her because his horse ran away because it's a coward, and he fights the mouse construct by knocking it to pieces with a sword, which of course you'd be slicing up small mice, but they don't talk about that part.
Fine.
That's fine. Anyway, and so and it drops her, and then they run away from the forest, right?
Right.
But as they're running away, this huge sort of automaton that looks like
scared me.
I will own up
to the fact
and a circus tent together like a giant circus tent doll.
I thought it was cool as hell and also terrifying. I will admit to that. I was actually mildly frightened of that thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that looks cool as fuck.
It was pretty bad, but it was also pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it comes after her and it's going, Clara, come and get your key, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, one, it knows who she is, even though nobody else in the kingdom knows who she is, and they establish that in just a couple of minutes. And two, it knows she's after the key.
And then I think later, actually, so the character that ends up yelling that is actually a character that also goes, who are you?
Yeah. Why would she give it to you? Well, because I'm her daughter, and because she's dead, right?
She's dead?
Actually use
I don't know.
I can't do anything. That is it. That is the whole entire game until you wait till it wants something else, I guess. Because you can't do anything.
Yeah, how do you...
Like if you go to the shop...
But like I have eggs, but the eggs aren't doing anything. Is it because you have eggs in storage, basically? And you can only use them?
Axolog. That one. So can I play with that one?
Does it tell you what it is? It just goes, nope, it's an axolotl, it's fine.
Yep, you can share a picture of it. That face is so ridiculous.
It is. These are chibi axolotls.
Anyway,
and they're all derpy as hell.
You get this experience where she's got, she's running away from this thing. They barely get away from it. He runs her back to this castle. There's a very silly scene of trying to enter the castle, and then
with these two guys that seem to be more character than literally anybody else, but that's literally because they're gag characters, and I hate to say it, I went, oh look, Keira Knightley's in this movie. Do you know what that means? There must be two obnoxious dudes in uniform, because you remember in the first one, those guys that Jack Sparrow runs across, and they sass him,
right,
on the dock. That's
pretty
those
much
guys.
Those guys. That's it. That's
I'm
part
like,
of that movie.
Oh my god, you're kidding me.
Anyway, so they get stopped from entering the kingdom just a little bit, and then everyone in the kingdom seems to know who she is, even though the guards at the door didn't know who she was, right?
Right, and it's really abruptly. Suddenly, like, you instantly go from one side of the door to the other, and there is someone in the crowd who very distinctly goes, it's her! And you're going, wait, did they just turn around and scream, it's Princess Clara! The wife, the daughter of, Queen Marie!
Except for we don't get a sense of this at all. All right, I'm going to close this and switch games again.
All right, be right back.
All right, so we're going to keep playing this one. We have another episode of this, and I'm just going to go and I'm just going to grind through my lives, and this is fine. Anyway, so ignore this game. This is a grind and cast. We're just going to grind through some levels while we freaking talk a little bit. Anyway, so we're going to keep going on this thing. So you go back and forth between people know who she is and they don't know who she is. Like, this is really a running theme of we're not sure whether people know who she is or not, because there's this, oh yes, we know who you are, and then this, well, we don't know who you are, and this, if you've told us we know who you are, you don't have to tell us we know who you are. Except for it's only really at the beginning.
It's super fucking conflicting.
But it is conflicting.
So
anyway,
and they're all like,
so she gets in there and she meets the regents of the three lands and the chair for the fourth of the three realms. Sorry, and then the chair for the regent of the fourth realm, of course, is empty because the regent of the fourth realm has been banished. Right? We don't speak of the fourth realm anymore.
What is the fourth name? We don't talk about it.
It's the land of amusements. Don't say the land of amusements. They've been stripped of their title. Right.
You just said it. Shit. Don't say it.
I said it. Don't say it. No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So honestly, though, I was super this is one of the things I was vaguely, really strongly disappointed because I thought actually some of the character designs, other than the Sugar Plum Fairy, were also cool to look at. I was like, oh, we're gonna get to see more of the regent of the Kingdom of Flowers and the regent of the Kingdom of Snowflakes.
So you get this experience, this really entertaining experience of, of meeting these three regents, and then immediately two of them disappear. Like, two of them disappear, and the third one just acts like she runs the whole world, which it seems like she kind of does once the thing continues. But basically, so you get the regent of the land of flowers, the regent of the land of sweets, which is her, and the regent of the land of snowflakes, and then those two immediately disappear, and you don't really, you see them again, but you don't interact with them again. Like, they really don't teach her anything, tell her anything, or anything like that, except for to apologize when they've been captured, when things go bad, going, oh my lord, it's so bad.
As like you see them when she goes around with them to visit their kingdoms, but you don't ever really get any background about these four kingdoms. But basically, so you also get this introduction that so this is where a lot of the inconsistency starts, where the Sugar Plum Fairy explains, she discovered us! She came here and she found us when she was a child, kind of thing.
All right, she says that she discovered the land, but she also that she discovered all of us, but then also she created all of us by bringing us all to life because we were all toys.
Right, which they go back and forth over the entire freaking movie.
Like, they don't talk about it, they just show visually, they're visual.
And they try to establish really hard that Mother Ginger, who is the main bad guy, supposedly.
Quote bad guy. Spoilers, she's not actually the bad guy, it's a red herring.
It's a huge red herring, and honestly, it's a well-done one after fashion, but I feel like it wasn't done well enough.
Because honestly, while she's supposed to be a super cool character, she also isn't supposed to know who Clara is because no one freaking else does either. Right. Except for she does know who Clara is when she's yelling after and what she's after. I came for my key.
She's yelling because they're going, who are you? Kind of thing. I'm Clara, you have my key. Or something like, I don't know.
I don't know if Mouse Rink showed up and told her what was going on.
I don't know. But there's also that whole running thing of going, are the mice actually the people of the amusement land? Are you
So the land of amusements doesn't seem to have any people.
Except for really fucking 5 weird-ass creepy clowns.
And they're nesting dolls.
They're nesting dolls.
And I think there's 6 of them. Anyway, they're living nesting dolls, and they get inside of each other.
And they're very creepy.
They're actually a bit creepy. So they they got me in the creepy one. So if a giant sort of circus tent doll got Scandal,
me. Yeah, Lies was super uncomfortable.
I got uncomfortable, like body horror kind of uncomfortable with the nesting doll people opening up and sort of doing this strange like frog walk and various things.
You should do
and
the
going
green because there's more green over here.
And just being like, this is uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. I will say.
Uncomfortable.
I am uncomfortable. Yeah. Anyway, so you get this experience of this land is creepy and there are no people in it, but the regents show you that in their that all of their lands are composed of people. So all over this castle, which leads to each of the 4 realms, it's literally in the middle of all 4 of them, and it's got pathways out to all 4 of them. Like it's got a bridge out to
every single
to the 4 directions of the compass, basically.
Yep.
And then each one of the lands is out there. Right. And so the directional piece of the compass arm that goes to the land of amusements, and no, it's the 4th kingdom kind of
because it's been stripped of its
of its title. Basically they're not people anymore. Anyway, so you don't see any refugees from that land at all. You see people from the land of snowflakes, you see people from the land of flowers, you see people from the land of sweets. You don't see anyone from the land of amusements.
Yep.
And if we don't say its name. And the thing is
oh god, and speaking
there's nothing there.
Speaking of characters that apparently a lot of people, as far as Liz has informed me, a lot of people were screaming about basically the like, why was there diversity at all in this movie of having black people in there or not? And I was like, well, actually that's pretty cool, and I didn't care as much. It was great to see it, but it was also kind of like you could have done so much more with it.
So the Nutcracker was black. Which is super cool.
Yeah.
And then they had the ballerina.
But that doesn't mean, though, the Nutcracker wasn't a shitty character.
No, it doesn't make him a good or bad character. It just means that the man who played him had dark skin.
Yep, that was it. That's all that is about. But when we're talking about in terms of a story, that character was just bullcrap and kept waffling around and like, God, I still cannot believe she walks up to him and goes, a Nutcracker. And pets this thing that I went, oh my God, dead man. I had that reaction when they turned around and went, he's dead.
He's dead. He's frozen solid in the ice, and I'm going to pet his face.
And I went, she's touching him. Why is she touching him?
Why would you touch the dead man? Why would you just touch
a random fucking dude?
Yeah.
No, it's the Nutcracker.
It's the Nutcracker. Anyway, and why is he identifiable as a Nutcracker? And he even identifies that he is the only Nutcracker.
Yep.
And yet again, there's soldiers everywhere, but not Nutcrackers.
And I'm going, what?
And the Sugar Plum Fairy wants an army, but the soldiers don't count as an army because she wants a real army.
An army of things that will just listen to her and never hurt her, apparently, would be my guess.
And never leave her.
That's where I'm going,
like a real person.
She really just sounded like a huge fucking ass lesbian.
She wants to play pretend.
Or a romantic lesbian. Because I don't know, because technically she's a doll, but...
She doesn't have to be sexually a lesbian. She can be romantically in love with somebody of her same gender.
Yep.
You know?
That did seem to be how she presented it.
She did really act like she was in love with her creator and had a broken heart because of her creator in a sense of betrayal and romance kind of thing.
Yep, pretty much.
Going, no one else is hurt as bad as me from the queen leaving because I loved her.
Except for the fact that she wouldn't know that the queen had left, 1. And 2,
because
she wouldn't even know that
the queen was dead.
Unless, again, you're going to somehow say that she was lying, but by the end of it, she didn't reveal her plan, that she'd already known this from the very beginning.
Weird things, again, about canon or not canon is that you get that Sugar Plum has already started a conspiracy to divide the kingdoms, right?
Right. They talk about that.
At this point, she's already made it seem like Mother Ginger is this bad evil person, and everyone's gotten on board with her, and they've banished this other, realm together, right?
And they're all really shitty ass other regents, by the way.
Yeah, they're really crappy other regents.
They're like, we are tools. What?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
anyway, so she's already done this war, but she claims later that this war is in the name of being abandoned by her creator, but she didn't know she was abandoned by her creator until Clara showed up and said she died.
Pretty much.
So it's all an excuse anyways, and again, they're violating what could be considered their own canon by going, this war is about her and the fact that she left us, except for she visited when she was an adult, because they say that they heard that she had a daughter.
Except that apparently in a flashback, she says that she hasn't been there in a really long time ever since she was a child, to Clara's face.
And
so unless she lied to Clara...
And so either Sugar Plum is lying, going, yeah, she talked about you, and she didn't talk about her, or some other freaking thing, which I don't know what would be. Like, it's really confusing. It goes back and forth between, we know who you are, we don't know who you are, we've heard of you, we haven't heard of you. This kind of thing. Again, one more time, it just keeps going this way. And so you've got, ultimately, your big bad guy is Sugar Plum, is the Sugar Plum Fairy. And yet at the same time, she claims that her war is because she was abandoned by her creator, because she left us and broke my heart, basically. Except she didn't know that her creator left her and broke her heart until after Clara told her, and her going, she's dead, oh my God.
Yep, and everyone is shocked, except that then somehow they don't tell her. They go, and immediately the thing I love, so she gets there
oh my God.
We have to have a party!
Slow down.
No, this is the very beginning. That's the
I know, slow down for a second. So she gets in there, she meets the regents, and then they find out her mother is dead, and they're all devastated for about 2 seconds, and they go, well, we need to throw a party because you're here, a pageant even. And this is where they shoehorn ballet into the movie.
Yes.
Because you have to have ballet in the Nutcracker, because it is a ballet. But, we didn't want to do it as a ballet, we wanted to do it as a movie. So then they have a ballet that they go, this tells the story of how your mother discovered the 4 realms. Except it doesn't. It shows how her discovering the first 3 realms, but in the last one it tells the story of the Rat King and of basically the fall of the land of amusements and how it's not cool.
Except it really doesn't. There's not much story.
No, it's not really
there.
the fall. It just shows the land of
Suddenly
amusements
there
being
are
bad
rats and they're
creepy.
being terrible and creepy. Yeah, and they're like, we're gonna turn the rats on and turn their,
we'll crank their clockworks.
And they're working and they're terrible and awful. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, and so you get this
and it felt,
weird
I have to say,
experience.
I want to give credit. I don't know who the ballet people are, but I feel like, and this is again uneducated guess here, I feel like the individuals that they hired to do most of the ballet weren't actually all that skilled. But a lot of this movie, I will, on a budget-wise, really seemed massively green-screened, A, and B, your stages were super small. The whole thing in a lot of areas felt cramped. Even the areas where she's supposed to be outside, it felt cramped and crushing, and there wasn't a lot
Maybe
of
they were
space.
trying to make it intimate, I don't know. At any rate...
I didn't get it.
I didn't get it. But at any rate, so they throw this thing, and then the Sugar Plum, who continues to be, who proceeds to be the only regent who speaks to her, basically, after that moment.
Remains
and then drives her around.
And he's a character.
And is the one, I'm going to be your reliable narrator, except for she's not, you find out. But Clara's, I am deceived, I trusted you, except for you had no reason to trust her, and then you just trusted her,
Right.
She didn't prove she was trustworthy in any way, and then you're angry that she's not trustworthy. But the thing is she goes, this ballet tells the story of how your mother discovered the 4 realms, except for it doesn't. It shows her this ballerina interacting with the first 3 realms and then arriving at an already ruined and destroyed land of amusements.
Yep, that's already corrupted.
And so it doesn't, already corrupted, if you will. And so it doesn't actually tell the story of her finding all of them because it's already broken down into war when this ballet is happening. And I'm going, I don't understand, actually, because you just said this was something that it isn't. And again, consistently breaking their own canon, going, this is what's going on, except it isn't. So you go, are they trying to establish that she's an unreliable narrator and she's not actually telling the truth because this isn't what's actually going on in the ballet? That's really damn subtle for how overt everything else is.
Right? Abruptly, now, immediately, for some reason, you can get all the green. Oh, you did that. You ruined the green right there.
I ruined all the green?
Yeah, if you had the green, because you had a green right here. If you got a green, you would have gotten it.
Oh, it's fine. I got it. Because I wanted to do this. No, not that. You missed. Damn you.
But.
Damn you, I say. Anyway, so, again, going back and forth on basically what their canon is.
Which was super disorienting. Be like, okay, so what's going on? Okay,
so
well, what
is this the story of her discovering the 4 realms, or is this the story of her discovering the 3 realms, and then the first realm was bad always, forever, in all of history, and we've always been at war with it? That's basically what that looked like, which is stupid.
But yeah, so, Alright, so then what happens? So they basically...
So then the pageant finishes, and they go, we need that key, because we need
and here's the machine that we basically, that your mother used
Let
to bring us
me
to
show
life.
you your mother's greatest invention. Here's how she brought us to life. We were all toys, and she brought all of us to life. So she discovered the 4 lands full of people, but we were all toys, and she brought all of us to life. So your ballet shows that there were people, and they were in the 4 lands, and then she immediately tells her, well, the 4 lands were filled and populated with toys that your mother brought to life.
Pretty much.
So either she discovered them full of people, or she filled them with people, which were all toys.
Oh, God, and that actually reminds me, too. So, originally, remember how she shows Drosselmeyer, Clara, so I'm jumping back in the movie. So, when she's talking to Drosselmeyer down in his lab...
in his science base.
His science base. His Bill Nye the
his
Science
workshop.
Guy.
Let's say his workshop.
Little cute workshop. She shows him the egg, right, that has his symbol on it, which is why she figured out, it's a gift from Drosselmeyer. I should go see Drosselmeyer.
The key.
This is the one who has the key, where she throws a tantrum and she'd talk to her dad and been bitchy at him and whatever else, because
you don't feel sad like I feel sad. as he's a devastated wreck the whole time.
Yeah, pretty much. And Drosselmeyer goes off about, wow, I haven't seen this thing in years, kind of thing. It was something I gave your mother, and it was specifically an item, though, he made to get...
To gain her trust.
To get Marie's trust. He says, I left it outside her door, because she was apparently terrified as an orphan.
Of him when he first acquired her in some way. We don't know what that process was.
Which sounds kind of unusual. And I was going, are you guys really going to go into, like, weird racism here? Of being like, yeah, the black people are scary. And especially this weird-haired Drosselmeyer, who is not only a black person, but a black person of severe power.
Right? And he has her, but he didn't adopt her because she's not his daughter, because he's not their grandfather. He's just their godfather.
Right.
So he raised her, but he didn't adopt her for inheritance reasons, I assume. Tax breaks, maybe.
Maybe. Who knows?
Anyway, so you were going. Were you with this point?
Where... Shoot. I completely lost my point. Crap.
So...
Anyway, go back to the other part of the
we
movie.
We were on about they were toys, except for she created them, except for they were toys, except for she created them. Except for they were there, except for she created them, except for they were there.
We were going off actually originally when we got out of this movie in the car about, oh my god, can you imagine? Basically, she's going and she's just ganking dolls, and she's making her own magical little world. Can you imagine how pissed all the people around her would be? So she's just my toys!
Taking these toys, and we actually made a joke of if she had a brother.
But she does in the original one, obviously, because they sort of mesh together in the original ballet.
She had a brother.
She did. So the thing is, she had a sibling.
But
so
Clara,
imagine Marie is stealing all of her brother's other toys and going off and where the hell are my toys?
And just making them all into these people in this land. So it goes back and forth between either this land existed and had people in it, or she made all the people in this land, which is really confusing.
Decide at all.
It cannot decide. And I'm going, this seems like a big discrepancy. She discovered this land full of people. She made every person in this land.
What?
How does that work?
That's actually a really important difference.
That's a really, really strong distinction. Gregory? Excuse me, Gregory. What's going on?
Greg.
Anyway, so there's that. Anyway, so you have this issue going on throughout of going, again, the canon's really inconsistent. So she goes, I'm going to go get the key back, right? And everyone going, oh no, it's too dangerous, you can't.
And then
she's like, it's so scary. Oh no, twist my arm, let me stop you. And they don't stop her
at all.
And she sleeps there. She spends the night there. Oh, we missed something. Okay, so she's afraid she has to get back. She's trying to get back. I have to get back because the time, right? And they take her.
The sugar plum fairy's like, let me show you.
That
I'll alleviate your fears.
The real world moves really slowly.
And her first reaction is to go, this looks like the inside of Godfather Drosselmeyer's clock. How the hell?
Did you see that in like half a second from the inside of it?
From the inside.
Unless you've been taking apart his clocks and things, which would indicate a much closer relationship with him than with you kind of paddling around his workshop looking mystified.
Yeah, or also the fact of like, why are you I don't understand this. Why is everyone acting like we're distant, but we're together? But we're distant, but we're together. But we're distant.
We're distant. Anyway, so the thing is the Sugar Plum Fairy takes her inside of his basically fancy cuckoo clock kind of thing.
Right.
And then they ride the circle around, they display characters out.
And tiny statuettes.
And they can see in the room that everybody's moving super slowly. You can see them walking at like maybe a quarter speed. Not slow enough, but very slowly,
which
right?
Which is the thing, actually, we were criticizing going, we don't feel like this is slow enough.
So then she spends an entire night there and goes to sleep and wakes up in the morning in this land, which the time does not move slow enough for at all, and then gets on, military uniform, which the Sugar Plum Fairy also seems gay for.
Chic!
Because she's like, ooh, Trey, chic, Clara. And she makes
Yeah, it's really wild.
It's
I'm
like,
you sound really like you are the most uncloseted lesbian ever.
You really sound gay for her and her mom. I apologize, but you just do.
And there's nothing
wrong with that, but it's just like, that doesn't seem to be a part of the story.
No.
It just seems to be something going on.
And the thing is, it feels more like it's a gimmick, or I'm like, if this was actually a part of her character, I would totally get more of it, where she's going, I was emotionally invested in your mother. I loved her. I actually loved her. And the thing is that I have felt like after all these hundreds of years, because they talk about how the time goes so much faster for them.
And if her mother only visited...
demented breakdown, basically, of going, but you keep leaving. I want you to stay. I love you.
Anyway, so her mother apparently visited maybe once a year kind of thing at Lord Drosselmeyer, at Herr Drosselmeyer, Godfather Drosselmeyer's house. I can't pick one.
I can't either, because we've seen the play too much.
Anyway.
That's what everyone's done.
I don't know how to get that many vases and do this thing. Anyway, so you get this experience of going, time's moving slowly, you can do whatever you want, but time doesn't look near slow enough for her to do the amount of things she does, because this whole thing takes at least 24 hours.
Right.
But anyway, so in the morning she's got a military uniform on, and she's like, I'm going to go out and change things, and then she acts just like her brother, who was treated like a 3-year-old.
And I went, oh my god, it's going to be great, they're going to give a callback to her brother.
They're going to make a reference going, this is how my brother plays war. What? How can I do this? Except for she just starts barking out orders to these soldiers, and just that's it. And then they all just obey her, and they move off into the forest to go try and find this thing. To go and go, we'll get the key.
Mother Ginger, yep.
Get the key, like kill the beast, you know?
Right.
We are completely uninformed and disconnected, but we're going to do it.
Right. Mm-hmm. You're bad.
Going to do it. Anyway, so they head off into Mother Ginger's land, which has no name and is irritating. The fourth realm. It's the fourth realm. Reminds me of the fifth kingdom, or whatever. The 10th kingdom. Sorry, the 10th kingdom.
Right.
10th kingdom. Anyway, so that one. But if you haven't seen the 10th kingdom, you can look it up. It's fine. It was a made-for-TV movie. I loved it. It was awful. I loved it. Let's just summarize it that way. I loved this trash. I am trash for this movie. Anyway, so you get Clara going and bringing these people into this kingdom, and then her going to face Mother Ginger and go, you've got to give me my key.
Oh, God, let's not even talk about that. Well, remember the rats start dropping, the mice, rats, whatever, start
she's
dropping
like everyone freezes because they're scared, right?
And so she's like, what's going
on?
She's screaming.
I'm going to jump off of my horse and go, you guys should get moving. It's just a bit of fog, right? Yep. And so she goes in there, and they're walking into basically what looks like a broken down carnival. Your classic carnival horror, right?
Yep.
You know, there's like monkey faces and painted clown faces and stuff. Honestly, I thought it was pretty scary.
I'm sorry, the land of amusement actually scared the crap out of me.
Was a bit creepy. It hit Scandal in their terror bone. It just hit the right
which was really
angle.
weird, because all the rest of it was just mostly obnoxious. Like, you're pretty, and then suddenly the land of amusement is like, I'm torn between Mother Ginger is hot. So this is the thing also where so my other favorite character was Mother Ginger, right? But I also
you're about to meet Mother Ginger, so slow down. Actually, so basically, they take all the rats into not the rats. So they take all of the soldiers into this thing where there's where the mice are,
get through
right?
The front, where
and they get through the front gate, and then you hear the mice.
Then...
You see the mice running around. You hear the mice running around, and then the soldiers start dropping into the ground. Like
it's
classic
terrifying.
horror of foop into the dirt, right?
And they don't make a single sound, which is bizarre, especially later when they go, oh yeah, I can scream now.
They're really very
And also when you
quiet.
look at it, at least for Clara, you're going, oh look, Clara is actually I'm like, and there's actually a tunnel. So the thing is they're not taking away people and they're not eating them.
They're just dragging them down tunnels.
But they're not screaming
somewhere. But none of them are screaming. None of the guards are screaming.
And that's why I kept going. This is horrifying. But then it changed its own canon again, going, but we're going to be scary, but we're not going to be. I'm like,
and the thing is it implies that Mother Ginger, didn't kill anybody and the mice aren't bad and things later on, but at the same time, none of those soldiers seem to come back, except for two of them.
The two joke ones that I said are basically the two fill-ins from, Pirates of the Caribbean, right?
So everybody else doesn't seem to come back.
Yep, they all seem
Anyway,
to be scared.
so she gets into this, the walking doll circus tent thing.
Right.
And in it you have these really horrifying stacking dolls.
Right.
Which do this really sort of terrifying dance.
The thing that freaked out lives.
Of just, bouncing around her and looking like these scary things that are going to
eat her.
Basically capture her inside of them and be really unfortunate, right? Like they imply very scary things, right? This is the very scary scene. Anyway, so you get...
But they also felt completely pointless, out of control, and weren't actually very effective at all.
They weren't, and they didn't really do much.
This is the problem that I kept having, though, going, yes, it's this thing, and it's not really all that good. Yes, it's this thing, and it's not really going to be doing that. The only thing I really thought was super freaking effective, that's why I was like, the marionette woman
so
thing
they chase her around and scare her and throw her into a chair and send her up to the top of this doll construct.
Pointlessly.
When she gets up to the top of this doll construct, Mother Ginger's there, and Mother Ginger looks like this destroyed sort of butch ringmaster.
Matriarch.
Like old classic ringmaster of a circus, right? But torn apart. So you got this idea that
I liked what she did. It's great.
She looks super cool. And she's actually got a cracked face. Like the toy has been damaged, right?
I kept waiting for them to fix her at the end.
To repair her, and they didn't.
I was disappointed.
Anyway, so that one, yeah. And I'm just like... Okay, so then Mother Ginger goes, why are you here? She's like, well, I'm here for my key. That's not your key. And they're going, but it is my key because, Maria, Maria gave it to me. Well, why would she give it to you? I'm her daughter. Yeah, but it's not hers.
What happened?
What happened? And she's just like,
she died.
Well, she's dead. She goes, she died? And she's really suddenly very devastated and very stressed out. So she's been playing this I'm intimidating, I'm grumpy, I'm pissy kind of role. And then suddenly she's devastated. And then Clara kicks her and grabs the key and runs out of there. And she's like, Clara, come back. And you get the first suspicion that maybe she's not a bad person. Maybe something else is going on.
She's like, no, you have to catch her. Because remember, she talks to her minion.
Yeah, she tells the mice, you have to get her. You have to bring her back. Something, right?
And I'm also like, this is the thing I was yelling at Lies at the point in this movie going, why aren't they just telling her what actually is going on?
Yes, why is there no talking?
Just be honest. Don't sit here. Everyone keeps having these weird, awkward, weighty pauses. Well, it would be this. And I'm like, guys, just say something.
Say something.
This is the thing I've always hated in a lot of movies anyway. It's like, just say it.
They're giving up on you.
It just feels like poor pacing.
Say something.
We're forcing.
It's miscommunication. Anyway, so then you get Mouse Rinks being sent after her, and her getting the key and running away from the forest with the Nutcracker, and nobody else comes with them. The entire army and the squad is gone. They're lost.
And they're all like, we survived! Yay!
And the Nutcracker's like, yay!
And I'm like,
we got out. It is only the two of them, and he seems perfectly happy with this.
And Clara does too. They don't even seem to freaking care. I'm like, you guys are cold-hearted fuckers.
They're pretty cold-hearted shitheads right there.
Oh
it's amazing.
God. They're all gone. I'm like, wow.
Wow. Anyway, there's a lot of wow. Like, wow, dude, really?
So she finally has this key, though. She's
she gets the keys, and she's like, I'm going to open the key thing. This will be great, right?
My egg that I got from my mother from Drosselmeyer. So she opens it up, and it says,
and it's a music box, right?
It's just a music box.
And her mother had said, everything you need is inside.
This was in the letter.
This was in the letter with the gifted. So she goes, everything I need is inside of this music box, right, is her assumption, which of course it's not. It's one of those look into the water, Simba kind of things, because later she finds out it's just her that she needed and she can do things, which is fine. But anyway, so she's pissed off and going, I've ruined everything and I want to go home, right? And the Nutcracker's like, no, you didn't ruin everything. Look, you got the key and you're going to be fine and I believe in you. And you know what? I was simple and I was happy in my post and I never wanted for anything. But
when you told me that while we were going to go, I was going to go with you anyway. This is
I was willing to go with you. I was ready to follow you.
I'm like, he is the most wishy-washy character anyway. This means nothing. Nutcrackers are very loyal.
Nutcrackers are very one-dimensional.
Nutcrackers are apparently idiots.
Anyway, so this is getting really long, so I'm going to try and wrap it up as fast as possible because it really increases its pacing like 9,000% right in the second half of the movie. Because she gets the key back and you find out that Sugar Plum is bad, and Sugar Plum makes all of these toy soldiers to go and destroy everyone, and she captures everybody, including the other regions and including Clara. Clara has a moment of, I don't believe in myself and I hate everything and I'm a horrible person and I want to go home.
To open it back up again,
and you
wouldn't
let
there's
me.
A mirror in the egg.
And she sees the mirror in the egg, which actually has the clockwork built into it, which didn't actually work with a music box, but it's fine. And so she goes, wait, everything I need is inside of me. And so I can do this. And so then she uses the laws of physics to escape the tower, to then go and turn off the turbine, which they now trust Mouse Rinks, and Mouse Rinks helps the Nutcracker go get Mother Ginger to go fight the toy soldiers, to then overthrow the Sugar Plum Fairy while they try and disconnect this machine. And then they use the skill that she demonstrated with Herr Drosselmeyer, going, I know how to change gear work, to change the direction of the machine from turning Mother Ginger back into a toy, because she demonstrated the machine does both ways.
Right.
But instead turn Sugar Plum back into a toy.
Right.
And then everybody, she's defeated and the movie is good. They try to redeem her before she turns her back into a toy, but then it doesn't work, so she can't redeem her. So, they destroy her, and then everybody's just happy.
Yep.
Everybody's just happy. They never discuss the death of the Queen. They never discuss the death of Sugar Plum. They don't. It's just everyone's just happy, and it's the end of the visit to the realms.
This is so difficult for you while we're talking, isn't it? This is great.
And then Clara goes home. I'm really good at these when I'm not talking. Anyway, and then Clara goes home, and then she finds Drosselmeyer, and he sees that she has the key, and they both share this conspiratorial. You did find everything you need, clever girl. And then he says the most bitch ass, inconsiderate line
made life so
I
bad
have ever heard ever. This pissed me off, but I just about died laughing. So he's like, your mother is the greatest inventor I ever known, and she created an amazing amount of things, right? Like an amazing amount of things. But her greatest creation, do you know what that was?
She always told me.
She always told me her greatest creation was you.
And this ties into... Hang on, but this ties into the fact in the flashback with her mother, where her mother goes, I know you want to be your sister, but I really don't
love you so much.
But she's like, but I love you more than your other siblings, because basically she's implying a lot of this.
Because
you're like me.
So she says, and so then Lord Rosamond says, you're your mother's greatest creation.
Right.
And he literally just shits on the other two kids going, you are the most valuable, best thing your mother ever made.
Smarty pants.
And it's like, you're just ignoring the fact that she had two other kids. She has two siblings. This person, Clara, that you're saying is the best thing ever, she has two siblings that are also your godchildren.
Yeah.
But thanks for that.
Thanks, asshole.
Anyway, so...
Because, they're not all as clever or whatever else.
So
I'm like,
then
people are different.
The movie ends with her going and finding her father at the end of the party. Going, I sympathize with you, and I now understand that you actually are sad, and I can actually see the fact that you're on the brink of tears forever for the entire movie at all. And I'm sorry that I was a total bitch to you, but I'm not going to say that I was a total bitch. I'm just going to say I'm sorry. And now let's dance together. I'll open this music box.
And we have music.
There's this weird little moment at the end of the movie where... the oldest daughter had inherited her mother's favorite dress and wore that and looked like her mother, right?
And her father has this very strong,
reaction to you look beautiful, sort of like your mother, kind of thing. And so the youngest daughter opens the music box and starts dancing with her dad, and her dad
and then he stops
does this
again.
And freezes, and it's just like, this is the song that I first danced with your mother to. And it's like, there's this weird sort of romantic idea of, this is the first song that your mother and I danced to, and then my other daughter's going to be here wearing her dress, and you're going to be here reminding me of her, and I'll be listening to this music that is incredibly romantic.
And then suddenly there's another dance, even though they said it was the end of the party, and
then the whole party
into...
is going again.
Again.
It's now just going again, and it's fine, and everything's fine. And I'm just like, this is so ridiculous. It's crazy. So you get this experience of going... I don't know what this movie was about other than going, one child's more special than the other children, and your mother was super cool, but she never admitted it and was really positive about it.
Oh, and there's some weird thing at the end, though, basically also where the clock, the Nutcracker is like, but don't go.
Don't go, yeah, the Nutcracker
so is he going to become basically the Sugar Plum Fairy? He's going to go insane?
He's going to go insane because Clara left and didn't come back because he loves her?
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, they set up for a horror sequel.
They did.
They did. They set up for a horror sequel.
a lot of horror sequels.
Anyway, so it was a really freaking weird movie where it basically tells you that one child actually is specialer than the other children if she's more like her mother. And her mother was a cool person.
Anyway, we had so many ideas about this, and we're not going to keep going off about
No, because this is the end.
Oh my god, it's $1 for another spin.
What?
It says $1
for... extra spin is $1. That's wild.
That's
all right, so
bullshit.
thank you for joining us in this grinding cast where we didn't have one game that we just wanted to play. We just played through a couple of different things. So you got to see 2 games that we'd never seen before and then head back to this one.
And we got 3 stars out of that whole thing.
I know, because I'm really bad at this when I'm talking. Anyway, so if you enjoyed this, which was really just a really aggressive movie critique that was poorly planned, but we had a great time doing, then I hope you also will go and check out our other ones where we do more traditional Let's Plays and actually talk about the games. I did enjoy the Birdcage game. I might talk about it at some point. It looks like you can buy the entire game for about $4.50 to unlock all the chapters. So that's there. You
and
can
having
go and
no
look
advertisements at all. However, the thing that I think
is
dick about that is you're literally going to be buying any of the downloadable content, and but you have to buy the ads out separately.
Well, it also takes the ads out for that.
But I'm saying that you have an
option to just buy ads out and not buy any more content. Yes.
Yeah, I thought that
you have options for microtransactions or to buy the whole thing. And so if you sort of slowly buy your way in and then go, well, I need more, then you can buy the entire thing together and have wasted your previous money, except supporting the creators, which is a noble cause nonetheless, but might not be how you want to spend your money.
And it just doesn't
anyway,
go ahead.
My name is Lies.
And I'm Scandal.
And this has been a bitchin' cast. I mean, a grindin' cast.
Grindin' cast.
Anyway,
Grinder cast.
Please like and or subscribe and or comment. It would be lovely to hear from you. And please take care of yourselves. Goodbye.
Bye.